All right, let's talk about the console everyone is waiting for. The successor to the Nintendo Switch, one of the most popular consoles of all time, is finally on the horizon. And after years of rumors and speculation, details are starting to leak out, and man, the expectations are through the roof. We finally have a much clearer picture of what Nintendo's been cooking up.
So the big question is, right, is this new machine really the definitive upgrade we've all been hoping for? To figure that out, we're going to break down everything we know, looking at it through three simple lenses: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's dive in.
First up, let's get into the exciting stuff. The good. What are the big upgrades? What's the new power that's supposed to set the Switch 2 apart from the original we all know and love? Okay, right off the bat, you can see this thing is a bigger beast. It's noticeably larger and a bit heavier than the older models. But the really crucial upgrade here, it's that screen. We're jumping from a 720p display to a much bigger and, more importantly, sharper 7.9-inch 1080p LCD. For playing in handheld mode, that leap in clarity is going to be a total game changer. But where things get really impressive is when you dock this thing. The original Switch maxed out at 1080p, which was fine, but, the Switch 2, on the other hand, can reportedly pump out a true 4K resolution at a smooth 60 frames per second. And for all you performance junkies out there, it can even hit 120 frames per second at 1440p. This is a massive jump that finally brings Nintendo's console much closer to the performance of modern home consoles. The upgrades aren't just about raw power, though. It seems like Nintendo has packed in some really clever quality of life improvements. We're talking new magnetic Joy-Cons that just snap on, no more finicky rails. There's a mouse mode, which sounds interesting, plus some super practical additions like HDR support for better colors, a second USB-C port, and a built-in mic so you don't need a headset for voice chat. These are all very welcome changes. Okay, so the power and the new features are definitely impressive, but every big upgrade comes with some trade-offs, right? So now we have to move into the bad, the compromises Nintendo apparently had to make to achieve that next-gen performance. So, you look at the specs, you see that bigger battery, and you'd assume that means longer playtime, right? Well, apparently not. It turns out that all that powerful new hardware and that high-res screen are really thirsty for power. According to reports, the Switch 2 actually has the shortest battery life of any model, just 2 to 6.5 hours. For a console that's built around portability, that feels like a pretty significant step backward. The next trade-off has to do with backwards compatibility. See, to run your old original Switch games, the Switch 2 doesn't use the old hardware. Instead, it relies on something called emulation. Basically, the new system pretends to be the old one, mimicking its behavior so it can run the old software. And here is the direct consequence of that choice. While Nintendo's own first-party games seem to work just fine, testing of over 15,000 third-party games found that about 170 of them have compatibility issues. Now, that's a pretty small percentage for sure, but it becomes a huge problem if one of those 170 happens to be your absolute favorite game. So the takeaway here is pretty clear. Maybe don't trade in your old Switch just yet. And finally, we get to the ugly. This is where we look at the infamous problems that plagued the original Switch, and we ask the biggest question of all. Has Nintendo actually fixed them this time around? Or are these the ghosts of the past coming back to haunt a new console? Oof. This quote from the hardware experts over at iFixit really gets to the heart of the #1 fear for so many fans: Joy-Con drift. After tearing down the new controllers, they found that even with Nintendo promising a more durable design, the internal mechanism, well, it seems fundamentally unchanged. So what exactly causes drift anyway? It's actually a pretty simple mechanical failure. There's a tiny metallic part inside the joystick that physically rubs against another part, and over time, it just wears down. That wear and tear messes with the electrical signals and causes the console to think you're moving the joystick when you're not. And here's the thing, there's a known fix for this. It's called a Hall effect sensor, which uses magnets instead of parts that rub together. For whatever reason, Nintendo chose not to use them. This comment from a user on Reddit really captures how the community is feeling. There's a lot of skepticism. After years and years of dealing with this exact issue on the original Switch, players are just wary. That trust has been broken, and it's going to take hardware that proves it can last to earn that trust back. And the other ghost from the past? Overheating. Early reports are suggesting the Switch 2 can get very hot, sometimes even crashing, especially when it's docked. One user even said their console froze up just 15 minutes into a game. And what's really concerning is the new fan in the dock. It's apparently designed to cool the dock's own electronics, not the actual console sitting inside it. That seems odd. So, after looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly, we're right back where we started. What's the final verdict? Is the Switch 2 actually worth the upgrade? It really boils down to this central conflict. On one side, you have the promise of a true next-gen experience. 4K output, that beautiful new screen, faster loading, and a smarter design. But on the other side, you have some pretty serious potential problems. That shorter battery life, backward compatibility that isn't perfect, and the lingering ghosts of Joy-Con drift and overheating. Ultimately, the decision really rests on what you value most as a player. Is that massive leap in performance worth the risk of dealing with some old frustrations all over again? Is the Switch 2 a true powerhouse upgrade, or is it just a more powerful machine that's haunted by the same old ghosts? I guess only time will tell, but at least now, you know exactly what to watch out for.